Sloth is a harmful sin that gently wears away our moral character and spiritual development. By encouraging laziness and indifference, it stops us from using our talents and fulfilling our duties, which can push us away from our purpose and meaningful relationship with others. So, in our last video, we talked about what sloth is. To this video, we're going to talk about how to identify it. So, welcome to part 2 of the quiet decay of ambition, which is part 4 of the 7-month long series of the 7 deadly sins.
And it came to pass in a time of antiquity, in an era before the realms of man and creature were set asunder, that the land was defended by the holy knights, who did wield a great and wondrous power. Great was their fear, and reverence they did command. Yet from their own ranks a treacherous company arose, who did betray the kingdom, and became sworn enemies to all who held the holy charge. They were known throughout the land, and their infamy did spread as the 7 deadly sins.
What's good, peeps? With all things shenanigans, 24 hours a day and 7 days a week and 365 days a year, I am your host that does the most, Maestro DJ Jones. Welcome back to the Maestro Show, the only show where you may not be understood, but never underestimated. This month, we're still talking about sloth. We learned about what sloth is. Now we're going to talk about how to identify it. Because now you know what it is. Now you need to be knowing what you're looking for. But before we get into it, if you have not already, go ahead and hit the like button on this video. And if you want to see more videos, go ahead and click subscribe and hit the bell icon next to it so you can get updates on when these videos premiere, so you can get more Bible lessons about everything that is about the Bible. Now, let's get into it. Spiritual apathy is when you're not really interested in God, faith, or growing spiritually. It's like feeling a bit lukewarm or lazy about it. You might find yourself not enjoying worship, not praying or reading your Bible enough, and focusing more on yourself than helping others. Sometimes this happens because you haven't confessed your sins, or you're too caught up in the world, or you're just tired. Now, when I say just tired, it is a feeling that we all get, right? And being tired is a natural cause, especially when you're burnt out, correct? But being tired all the time, you might want to fix it. Okay. Now, how does spiritual apathy affect our relationship? Apathy can make you want to pull away from the community. Even if you're around people, you might feel alone. You might become too focused on yourself, which can mean you don't take care of your family or invest in the future. You might feel it hard to have deep spiritual talks or even avoid them. You might only do the bare minimum when it comes to helping others or being part of a faith community. So, if any of these things that you have either felt or you've seen that with somebody else, that is spiritual apathy and is also called sloth. Now, let's go deeper. So we talked about the key indicators of spiritual apathy. Now, let's tie them together with sloth. So the first one, as I said earlier, spiritual apathy, feeling disconnected from spiritual matters, not caring about God, or finding holy things a bit dull. We just talked about that a minute ago. So if you've been dealing with spiritual apathy, guess what? It's sloth. Number 2, neglect of duty. When we don't get things done, like at work, with family, or on our own, it can sometimes be because we're not feeling like it. So if you're at home and you don't feel like doing it, gotta wash the dishes, but you don't feel like it, gotta clean the house, but you don't feel like it, and if you're not tired, if you had so much rest, but you're just don't want to do it, that is sloth. Number 3, procrastination and inaction. When you're not feeling like you want to put the effort, it can make it hard to get things done, like finishing up tasks, reaching your goals, or wrapping up projects. So if you're not starting right away, or you're taking your precious time to get things done, that is sloth. Number 4, emotional and mental indifference. Feeling uninspired by life, people, or yourself, which might show up as sadness, or if it gets a really bad despair. So, if you're not emotionally connected to it, or if you don't feel inspired or anything like that, could be, or it is, sloth. Number 5, escapism through entertainment. Turning on screens to see fun activities or distractions too much to sidestep the tough stuff that life throws our way. Now, hold on a second. I get it. Some of us, like me, we use video games and sometimes we use sci-fi or watching TV like to escape reality. I get that. But doing it too much to avoid the things that life throws our way, like the bills and I gotta drive to work, I gotta go to work. Like doing it too much could be seen as sloth because you don't want to deal with it. I don't want to deal with that. I'm gonna go over here, buddy. Guess what? That's sloth. If you've been dealing with any of these, or you know somebody that's been dealing with any of these, it is called sloth. Now, there is a difference between sloth and rest. But how do we differentiate between them? Sloth is often seen as a reluctance to do work, or as some preachers put it, as a sorrow about spiritual good. True rest gives your spirit a boost for more action, while sloth feels like you're stuck or not motivated to do what you're meant to do. In other words, sloth has no motivation in it at all, while rest gives you time to rest and think about it. And when you're done resting, you can get up and you have that motivation, you have that energy to do what you're supposed to do. So that's the difference. So look at it. So let's look at it this way. So sloth is no motivation at all. Rest is you're resting to get more motivation to do what you're supposed to do. Okay? Now, let's go deeper with that aspect right there. Now, while they can look identical from the outside, both involve a lack of activity. We're talking about rest and laziness, okay? But the primary difference between laziness and rest lies in the intent and outcome. So, there are two core differences. Number 1, rest is intentional and restorative. It is a conscious choice to stop and recharge based on your body's needs. It typically leaves you feeling refreshed, motivated, and ready to re-engage with your task. Number 2, laziness is avoidance. It is often rooted in a lack of motivation, fear, or a desire to escape responsibilities even when you have the energy to act. It often leaves you feeling guilty, stagnant, or more drained than ever before. So, again, number 1, we have rest is intentional and restorative. Number 2, laziness is avoidance. One more time. Rest is intentional and restorative for your body, like your body needs it. Laziness is avoidance. So, the key takeaway from this video would be literally rest versus laziness. This is how you really distinguish between the two. But how do we tell the difference between the two? Let's get into that. You can often distinguish the two by asking yourself a few simple questions. Well, actually, just one simple question. This one question right here. What is the intent? What is the intent of me doing this? So if you're just sitting down watching TV, okay, why are we watching TV right now? Why am I playing video games right now? What is the intent? Here are some indicators to help you differentiate if it's rest or am I just being lazy. So before I go into this though, we all have done it. We all have done it. So here's a way to help differentiate between the two. So number one, the goal. All right. So if the goal is to refuel and recover, it's rest. If the goal is to avoid or escape a task, it's being lazy. Number two, the feeling. If the feeling is to feel deserved and peaceful, it's rest. If the feeling feels like dread, guilt, or procrastination, it's lazy. Number three, the outcome. If the outcome is increased energy and focus, it's rest. If the outcome is continued avoidance, then you're being lazy. And the last one, the source. If the source is a response to a physical or mental fatigue, then it's rest. Because before I go further, that's the myth about hustle and grind culture. It's saying that you don't have time to rest, but your body needs it. It's the source. So if the source is a response to physical, mental fatigue, then yes, you need it. But if the source is a lack of discipline or fear of failure, then it's laziness. So if you don't take away anything else from this video, those are the key differentiators between rest and laziness. Remember that. Write those things down. If you need to go back and write those down, do it, please. Now, why do we confuse the two? Let's get into that. Many people struggle to differentiate the two because of hustle culture, which equates constant busyness with worth. This often leads to productivity guilt, where taking a necessary break feels like a moral failing. If you find yourself physically exhausted, mentally foggy, or unusually irritable, you are likely dealing with burnout or a genuine need for rest, not laziness. True rest is not a reward for finishing your work. It is the requirement that makes your work possible. Again, I'm going to say it again. That part right there. True rest is not a reward for finishing your work. It is the requirement that makes your work possible. I don't care what your boss says. I don't care what the president or CEO of your company says. It don't matter. Rest is necessary to let you do your job. If your bosses aren't giving you the rest that you need, then you might want to find other employment. But if they're giving you work to do and they let you take breaks, it's just that you take too much breaks instead of doing what you're supposed to do, then that is called, say it with me, laziness or sloth, for those who said sloth. That's what that is. So it is very important to differentiate between the two. In conclusion, rest is about intentional, restorative behavior, right? It's what helps you get your jobs done. Laziness or sloth is about avoiding work or a fear of being a failure or just not very motivated in it at all. If you've been dealing with any of these things that I've mentioned earlier, then it is sloth. It is not rest, it is being slothful. It's one thing to rest and recuperate, it's another thing to not get anything done slightly because you don't care. So remember, identifying sloth has something to do with realizing whether it is rest or are you just being lazy. Now, you got to ask yourself first, am I lazy? We will answer that question in the next video. So, tune in next time for part 3 of the quiet decay of ambition. And if you don't learn anything else from me today, know this. Know that life is not about waiting on the storm to pass. It is about learning to dance in the rain. Stay tuned for part 3 of the quiet decay of ambition, which is part 4 of the 7-month long series of the 7 deadly sins.